Welcome. You've got mail.
The sound of early social media. I kinda like the sound of that. We should go back to that era.
Say, Larry, that black thing you got in your lap that's moving, what the hell is that?
Oh, that's my little Chihuahua. Name's Chico.
Where'd you find him?
Well, I went to Mexico one day and met these guys.
Are you talking about the cartel?
No, boy, stop being a smartass. These guys I bumped into the parking lot one day. They told me that they had a friend that needed a place to stay.
Oh?
Yeah, he just couldn't afford staying where he was at. They gave me his contact info and he's been paying rent ever since.
What's that got to do with the dog?
Stop being a piece of Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Like all movies out there, there's a reason why they're made, perhaps something that happened in real life, or something that the creator dreamed about. For those of you that have seen the movie Christine by Stephen King, this bears a striking resemblance. In the world of haunted vehicles, this one stands above all. The Golden Eagle. This 1964 Dodge 330 limited edition has been at the center of mysterious deaths, eerie happenings, and suicides for decades. This isn't just a story of a haunted car. It's a tale of bloodshed curses and unexplainable phenomenon. Some call it an urban legend, others claim it's the work of something evil, something far supernatural. But one thing is certain, the Golden Eagle's dark history cannot be ignored. The Golden Eagle began its life as your standard police cruiser for the Old Orchard Beach Police Department in Maine. It was meant to be just another addition to the department's fleet, patrolling the town and enforcing the law. However, within a few years of service, tragedy struck. 3 separate police officers were assigned to drive the Golden Eagle, and all 3 of them met gruesome fates. For example, each of the 3 police officers that had driven the car had actually murdered their families before taking their own lives. The killings weren't just simple acts of violence. They were just disturbingly brutal without any clear motive behind them. But the curse didn't end there. Over the years, it was exchanged by multiple owners, and they each reported disturbing experiences tied to the car. People who merely touched the car would meet gruesome fates. In the late 1980s, there were a group of teenagers who decided to vandalize the car. They scratched the paint, defaced its interior, and started mocking its haunted reputation, and within weeks apart, each of the vandals met a tragic end. One guy was struck by lightning, one was decapitated in a bizarre accident, another one was hit by a semi-truck, leaving their body unrecognizable. Now, you gotta ask this question, was it a coincidence or do you believe the car was responsible? But then there was some unexplainable movements within the car. One owner claimed to have parked the Golden Eagle in their driveway, waking up the next morning and finding the car halfway across the street, like as if the car had driven itself. Some even claimed to have seen shadowy figures sitting inside the car, only to vanish when approaching closer to it. But one of the most crazy stories involves a truck driver actually transporting the car. While towing the car, a truck driver had actually lost control of his truck without no apparent reason and crashed, therefore dying upon impact. The Golden Eagle had remained completely intact without anything touching it. This added to the rumors that the car was completely indestructible, that no matter how intense the destruction was, that the car would never be destroyed on its own. And as the car's reputation grew, there were even local church officials who had tried to light the car on fire. But even then that didn't do it, as the parts had mysteriously reappeared as if nothing was destroyed by it. And the people who reported the dismantling of the car died of mysterious deaths that involved illnesses, accidents, and even unexplained deaths. Now, after all that had happened, when the car was somehow mysteriously put back together, there was a last owner that had owned it, and that was by a woman by the name of Wendy Allen, a Maine resident who had owned the car for decades. Now, luckily, Wendy didn't experience anything deadly with the car, but she did sense that there was something dark with the car. She could feel a presence of dark energy, and even people that she would invite over to her house to actually look at the car, they would feel something very evil as they got close to it. But despite the reputation, Wendy Allen refused to sell the car. So what do you think? Do you believe that the Golden Eagle is a cursed car, or do you think it's some made-up crap? Well, skeptics argue that the mysterious deaths of the car are actually just coincidences, while others claim that the reputation is just nothing more than a legend itself. But for the paranormal view of it, others believe that the car absorbed its evil of its past, perhaps through the violent deaths of the police officers who first drove it. Some even claim that the Golden Eagle was possessed, acting on its own and influencing those who come in contact with it. But regardless of what you believe, one thing is for certain. The Golden Eagle is one of the most mysterious and terrifying car stories in history.
Amen. My first car was a Fiat. So many good memories. Ándale, ándale. Move it, amigo.
I love this guy. You know, Chico, you are always welcome to be a part of this podcast.
Really? Okay, I'll keep it in mind, Bang.
Larry, seriously, did you hear that? I keep hearing this voice.
You just imagining stuff, boy. I ain't hear nothing.
The next story is about a 17th century chair that is believed to be cursed for those who sit in it. The Busby Stoop Chair. The story begins in the rolling countryside of North Yorkshire, England, in the small village of Sandhutton near Thirsk, where an old weathered inn stood at a quiet crossroads. This inn, later named the Busby Stoop Inn, was once a gathering place for weary travelers and merchants, and locals looking for an escape from the harsh realities of life. But among them was a man full of a sinister reputation by the name of Thomas Busby. Busby was a drunkard, a thief, and a conman. He lived in a small house nearby with his wife Elizabeth, but he was notorious for his violent temper. Despite his flaws, Busby had a business arrangement with his father-in-law, Daniel Oddie, who owned a nearby farm and was rumored to be involved in a counterfeit operation. The two men had frequent disputes, especially when Busby's drinking got in the way of their illicit money-making scheme. One fateful night, after a heated argument, Daniel Oddie stormed over to the Busby's home, furious about something, perhaps money, or perhaps his daughter's treatment. He sat down in Busby's favorite wooden chair, waiting for him to come home. When Busby stumbled in reeking of ale from the inn, he was enraged to find Oddie sitting in the chair, which was his favorite and rightful place. The argument escalated into threats, and in a drunken fit of rage, Busby bludgeoned Oddie to death. Realizing what he had done, Busby panicked, and in the night he dragged Oddie's lifeless body into the woods, near the crossroads, and he attempted to hide it. But in a small village like Sandhutton, whispers of foul play spread quickly. Busby was soon arrested, tried, and sentenced to death. Before his execution, Busby was taken to his favorite pub, the very place where he had spent countless nights drinking. Then he was granted one final request, and that was his favorite drink of ale. He sat in his favorite chair, grinning drunkenly and putting a curse on it, saying these exact words: "May sudden death come to anyone who dares to sit in my chair." Shortly after, Busby was dragged from the inn to a nearby gallows, where a large crowd gathered to watch his execution. His body was left hanging in an execution cage to let others know the grim warning of those who decided to cross the law. But even in death, it seemed that Busby had unfinished business. At first, Busby's curse was nothing more than a legend. The chair remained in the pub, and for years nothing out of the ordinary had happened. But as time passed, strange events began to unfold. The first known death linked to the chair occurred just a few years after Busby's execution. A chimney sweep, weary from a long day of work, entered the inn and took a seat in the infamous chair. That same evening he was found dead in a ditch near the crossroads, just a few stones throw from where Busby had been executed. The second one happened in the 1940s. The Busby Stoop Inn became a very popular drinking spot for Royal Air Force men that were stationed nearby. As young soldiers do, they often dared each other to sit in the cursed chair. Many who took the challenge were reported dead within combat missions days later. And then going into the 1970s, there was a builder and his co-worker who stopped by for a drink at the pub. One of them, feeling bold, decided to test the legend by sitting in Busby's chair. The guy laughed and dismissed that the curse was nonsense. Later that day, while working on a construction site, he fell to his death from scaffolding. Around that same time, there was also a roofer who also sat in the chair, where hours later he was found dead on the job, having fallen through a roof. And finally, the final straw would happen in 1978 when a delivery driver who had stopped by for a drink at the inn sat in the chair while waiting for his order. Hours later, his truck veered off to the side of the road, crashing into a tree and dying on impact. By the late 1970s, the number of strange accidents tied to the chair had grown too hard to ignore. The pub's landlord, Tony Earnshaw, was deeply disturbed by the stories. Some of his regular patrons had died in mysterious ways, and he no longer wanted to risk another death. In 1978, Earnshaw took a drastic action. He donated the chair to the Thirsk Museum, where it was placed high on a wall completely out of reach. To this day, the chair remains there untouched, safely displayed where no one can ever sit on it ever again.
That's some scary crap, man. What causes these objects to hold so much negative energy?
I have no idea, man. All I can tell you is where there's evil, that energy that was with that person when they were alive, I guess just sticks around. But that's going to have to be in another episode one day.
You know, man, some people in the Latino family do Santeria.
Did you hear that?
Nope.
Alright guys, have a great day and subscribe.
Oh, look at that. He loves me. God, what are you... Doggy, come on. Dog, get off me.
Stop being a piece
Larry, seriously, if that's you making that noise, it ain't funny.
Boy, stop grabbing me by the nuts. You know it ain't me.
Damn it, Chico, stop biting my nuts.